UFC Fight Night Paris Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight. We're going to discuss Imavov versus Borralho. We're going to discuss that crazy co-main event where Benoit Saint Denis brutally exposed Mauricio Ruffy. We're going to talk about the sad retirement of Paul Craig. We're going to break it all down this video. And to be quite honest, I really enjoyed UFC Paris. I know there was a lot of finishes, and finishes don't always equate to a good card. I know a lot of fans kind of confuse the two. But this was a fight card that had a lot of excitement value, but also had a lot of interesting prospects and also had a lot of questions answered about certain fighters who were being overhyped quite a bit. But let's jump into it with the first fight of the night. We have Shauna Bannon versus Sam Hughes. It's crazy. I'm actually trying to figure out how many decisions were there. I think there was 2 decisions. One off the top of my head. Yeah, there was 2. There was 2 decisions. Only the main event and then the Gomis fight went to decision. Not even the women's MMA card opener went to decision. Shauna Bannon gets it done via second round rear naked choke. Got her down, controlled her in the first round, channeled her inner Khamzat Chimaev, eventually got the crucifix. The referee was like, work. I think it might have been her, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. Eventually gets to the crucifix position, starts smashing her with elbows, looks for the rear naked choke late. The round ends up ending. Second round, she caught a kick from Bannon, took her down again. Decent ground and pound. Eventually, Bannon tried to scramble back to her feet and gave up her neck and got choked out. Easy win for Sam Hughes. I think Shauna Bannon, a lot of people were, I don't want to say a lot of people were hyping her up, but it's like the UFC was trying to get behind her because, she's from the UK. I think she's from the UK. Am I smoking crack right now? She's from Ireland. That's what I meant. She's Irish. Let's get behind the women's Conor McGregor. Okay, I'm being a little bit over exaggeratory. She's not that good because Sam Hughes isn't that good, and Sam Hughes easily went out there and out-grappled her and dominated her in the grappling. And Bannon had literally nothing to offer on the ground at all. I mean, she got completely manhandled and dominated or woman-handled, and Sam Hughes finished her in the second round. Next fight on the card, we have Andreas Gustafsson versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. A lot of people were picking Gustafsson in this matchup. I said Rinat's going to get it done. He's the far superior striker. He gets a first round, first minute TKO of Andreas Gustafsson. Early, Gustafsson's coming in like a maniac, swinging wild and crazy, looking to land big shots. And I think it was a left straight that Fakhretdinov landed that really started the finish. So he hit him with this left straight. Gustafsson all of a sudden backs off of the pressure that he had for the first, 40 seconds or so, 35 seconds or so. The fight didn't last very long. Backs up. Rinat starts going after him, throwing shots, threw a head kick that I think grazed him a little bit. Then Gustafsson backs up against the fence. Rinat starts swinging nasty hammer fist up against the fence. And Gustafsson eventually melts to like a kneeled position. And Rinat just finishes him off with a bunch of ground and pound. Great win from Rinat. In a weird way, even though I picked Rinat, I said, look, Gustafsson's kind of a nightmare matchup. But Fakhretdinov is more skilled everywhere. So unless Fakhretdinov was going to completely gas out from the pressure, which was obviously Gustafsson's game plan going into this fight, I really just seen Rinat being the more skilled wrestler, the more skilled striker. It just came down to, could he find those damaging shots to keep Andreas off the pressure? Because Andreas is kind of like a welterweight DDP in a way with a better gas tank. And he tried to impose his will on Rinat. Rinat caught him with a big straight left. And basically after that left hand, it was the end of it. So I think Rinat initially got a little bit too much hype, like when he beat Brian Battle. But then as he had some of these closer fights, he had the draw with Aleski Dos Santos. I think a lot of people were like, Rinat wasn't that good. Rinat kind of got fraud checked a bit, and he's having these close fights. And I think now people are going to realize actually Rinat is really good. I don't think he's going to be like a welterweight champion, but I think he's a lot better than people are giving him credit for because some of the most recent performances from him and the recency bias. But he gets it done against Andreas Gustafsson, goes out there, gets a finish in 54 seconds. So great performance from Rinat against a tough opponent in Gustafsson. Then I felt like if Gustafsson was to win this fight, the hype train would have been strong for him. But Rinat goes out there and finishes him in the first round. Next fight on the card, we have Brad Tavares versus Robert Bryczek. First round, Bryczek hurt him multiple times, was just pressuring him, ripping to the body, ripping upstairs, dropped him against the fence, hurt him bad, was swarming him up against the fence, but Brad Tavares was able to survive and then eventually got back up, got hurt again, was getting ripped to the body, but somehow was able to survive, and then with like a minute to go in the first round, got a takedown, but still, and held him for a minute. And it wasn't looking great for Bryczek. Like, did he gas out in the first round, throwing all those shots? He's getting out grappled by Brad Tavares. How's it going to go? But it was still a 10-8 first round for Robert Bryczek. Then the second round, it's like, oh, Brad Tavares might actually either win this or maybe get a draw, because second round, I thought Tavares won the second round, landing good body kicks, good leg kicks. Bryczek wasn't having as much success, and it seemed like Bryczek was starting to slow down a bit. But then in the third round, it was back to the first round, essentially. Tavares was able to have some success early in the third, but then Bryczek just started to go after him. Brad Tavares had like a failed, I think it was a sloppy failed takedown early in the third round. And then Bryczek caught him with a big shot and just started swarming him up against the fence. Tavares complained about the stoppage. I don't think it was bad at all. I thought it was a fine stoppage in the Brad Tavares fight. I thought, Bryczek melted him, was landing good shots, had hurt him badly prior to that, did a lot of damage in the first round. But either way, let's say Tavares survives that flurry, he still loses the fight because the first round's a 10-8. Even if that's a 10-9, you still have a 29-28 decision for Robert Bryczek. I do think Robert Bryczek is probably better than a lot of people are giving him credit for as well, because he looked good in this fight. I know Brad Tavares is old. He's only beaten up the dead corpse of Chris Weidman, who really thought he was going to GFL after retirement. 2 days later, he's going to GFL. But yeah, anyway, Bryczek gets it done against an old man, Brad Tavares. But Tavares, he wears damage well. It was crazy after the first round. He didn't even look that damaged. Honestly, Bryczek borderline looked more damaged than Tavares. But either way, it seemed like Tavares was going to be able to have a little bit of a comeback. Bryczek goes out there, finishes him in the third round. Great performance from Bryczek. Next fight on the card, we have nothing but finishes here. We have Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. This was a great fight. This was almost like a mirror match. Both guys were throwing back and forth. Both guys were chopping to the legs, and both guys were landing straight shots. And it was a filthy finish from Sam Patterson. I think he landed, so they're basically both smashing each other's legs. They're both landing straight punches and jabs. They're both getting busted up a little bit. And then Sam Patterson, I think it was a left hook that started the flurry, but I can't remember right off the top of my head. I think it was a left hook that started it. Kind of hurt him, wobbled a bit, and then he proceeds to walk him down, measuring him with the left hand with a jab, and then just sniping him with the right hand over and over and over again. And Trey Waters is trying to survive, and he's falling all over the place. And eventually Patterson hits him with a filthy right hand. The referee jumps in and damn near catches Trey Waters from falling on the ground. And Sam Patterson gets the first round TKO, standing TKO. Patterson, I think he's an interesting prospect. I'm not going to, be one of these guys that hypes up all the UK guys and be like, oh, yeah, man, the UK guys are so good. I think Sam Patterson's on an interesting streak. I think he looked decent in this fight, and I think his size makes him an interesting guy in the welterweight division. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a top 15 guy yet, but this was a good performance against a guy in Trey Waters who's kind of a funky striker. I thought Sam Patterson was going to have to mix in more of a grappling approach to get this done, and early it was like this was a 50-50 fight. Basically, up until the finish, I would say Sam Patterson was out slightly ahead because they were both smashing each other's legs. They were both landing good punches. Sam Patterson was wearing the damage a little bit worse because his nose was getting busted up from the jab of Trey Waters. But I think Patterson was slightly out ahead. He was throwing some punches to the body as well and maybe landing with a little bit more impact. But the second he landed that shot that rocked Trey Waters and he kind of stumbled backwards, he never let him off the hook. Kept measuring him with the left hand, smashing him with the right. And I didn't really see anyone complaining about this stoppage, but I thought it was a perfect stoppage, honestly. Could have gone for a hair longer, but it was done. Trey Waters was done. That right hand that caught him right at the end, it was like the sixth one in a row. His head just flopped back, and I thought he honestly might go down from that right hand. So Sam Patterson with a good win. First round TKO, great performance in a card that I don't know where, who they're going to give the performance bonuses to yet. I haven't even seen that yet. Maybe it'll show on the website. Anyway, next fight up the card, we have Harry Hardwick versus Kaue Fernandes. What a brutal, brutal finish by Kaue Fernandes. He chopped Harry Hardwick's legs Like it was going out of style. I mean, he started brutalizing him early and often. At one point, and Hardwick was switching stances, and he was getting the opposite leg chopped too. Both of his legs were done. Within like 2 minutes, both of his legs were done. He was limping around like Sean Strickland after Father's Day. That's how bad his legs were chopped. And it could have honestly been stopped multiple times, honestly. The way he was like, I don't even know, it wasn't falling, but the way he was reacting, it was like, oh my God, you could jump in and wave it off at any point in time. And the finish, I'm trying to remember who the referee was, but the finish was a little bit weird. It was almost like the ref was going to let it go on. Like he chopped the legs, he fell down in agony. The ref was like looking, and eventually he doesn't get up. I think Kaue Fernandes walked away. I want to say it was Herb Dean. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I wish the UFC's website showed who was the referee for each and every fight, because it's impossible. It's impossible to look it up. So I'm not sure. I want to say it was Herb Dean, but man, it was nasty. Yeah, it was Herb Dean. I just looked on my Twitter real quick. Herb Dean was like looking at Hardwick like, oh, are you going to get up? After he had his legs brutally chopped like 150 times. Both legs were damaged. I mean, the way he was walking was crazy. The way he was waddling was crazy. And Kaue Fernandes chopped his leg. He fell. He like rolled and flipped. I think he did that one other time before and got up. Like Kaue Fernandes waved him back up. But the last time, Herb was like looking at him, and Kaue Fernandes just walked away. Like he's like, it's over. It's over. This dude stepped in on short notice. I done brutalized his leg. One thing I didn't like, Kaue Fernandes is badly beating him and kind of taunting him a little bit. Like while he's chopping the legs, like, dude, this dude stepped in on short notice, is sacrificing his legs. I mean, those legs are going to hurt for a month. At least a month for Harry Hardwick. Those legs are going to hurt badly. And Kaue Fernandes is kind of taunting him a bit. And there was one moment where Fernandes was chopping his legs, and it was like, oh my God, this fight is over. And Harry threw back some shots and landed on Fernandes. And the crowd was, oh, but then immediately right back to the calf kicks. And he just couldn't handle him, man. It was a brutal first round finish from Kaue Fernandes, getting it done over the illustrious Harry Hardwick. Anyway, next fight on the card, Marcin Tybura versus Ante Delija. This was the hardcore check right here, okay? I've been telling you guys, there's a lot of people who try to prove they're hardcore by being like, yeah, man, Aaron Pico's a savage, man. Aaron Pico's going to smoke Lerone. Aaron Pico's going to beat Mavsar. And then they're like, you know what? Patricio Pitbull, man, he's nasty. He's sick, man. I know all the Bellator guys. I know all the PFL guys. Patchy Mix, he's going to smoke Mario Batista. And they just don't know. Okay, they just don't know. They're smoking crack. And it's like, it's almost like they're putting on a performance like, yeah, I'm a hardcore. I'm not saying everyone who picked those people, but it's almost like I'm a hardcore. I know these bigger names from Bellator and PFL. This right here was the hardcore test. Because if you've seen Delija, you should know he most likely should beat Tybura. And he went out there and he just savagely beat the dog shit out of Tybura. First round KO. Immediately came out and looked to finish him. Was just charging him down aggressively, landing good shots. Tybura clinched and was looking for a takedown but wasn't able to get it. Eventually gets reversed, put against the fence. Delija breaks out of the clinch and just starts walking him down, smashes him with I think it was a left uppercut, if I'm not mistaken, and drops him badly and just swarms him with big ground and pound shots. First round KO for Ante Delija. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, the new contender for the heavyweight division. And I understand that. He is a new contender for the heavyweight division, and he looked good. And the UFC has clearly been making an active push to develop the heavyweight division further. If you think Tom Aspinall is going to be the champion for a while, if you don't think he's going to lose to the guy wearing a blouse in the crowd of UFC Paris, well, Delia's not getting the fight because Tom Aspinall trained with him. So I don't know if they still train together or whatnot. Tom Aspinall was in the crowd with his no personality and no Instagram followers cheering on Delija. He won't fight him. He's already said he won't fight him. So I don't know. Maybe Cyril Gahn, the guy in the blouse in the crowd, can save us from this disaster in the heavyweight division. But either way, happy to see some fresh meat in the heavyweight division. And Delija went out there and smashed Tybura. Tybura is the same guy. I mean, think about what Tybura did to Tai Tuivasa. That dude's entire personality was drinking out of a shoe, and people acted like he was good. and Tybura went out there and brutally exposed him. Delija, he's not doing that. We got some fresh meat in the heavyweight division. You know what? If it was up to me, we give Delija the next title shot. That's what Tom Aspinall got. Beat Marcin Tybura and got the next title shot. If I'm not mistaken, that went to the second round. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. I think it was first round finish. But either way, both got to finish at Tybura in the first round. Let's give Delija a title shot as well. If Cyril Gane loses the Tom Aspinall, let's Marcin Tybura is the number one contender fight nowadays. Anyway, he gets it done. Great performance. And I think he's going to be a fun fighter in the heavyweight division. He had a great performance. Next fight on the card, the featured prelim, we have Oumar Sy versus Brendson Ribeiro. First round TKO, back shots dead. Horrible stoppage, by the way. Absolutely horrible stoppage. So initially they're striking a little bit. Sy hurts Ribeiro with a jab. Shoots a double leg, takes him down with ease. Is kind of controlling him, but not doing a whole lot of damage. Eventually, Ribeiro uses a Kimura to sweep and basically scramble back to his feet. Ribeiro lands, I think it was a big right hand and then maybe a knee that grazed him on the body. And Oumar Sy takes him down again and just starts manhandling him, actually start to throw some ground and pound shots. Eventually gets into the mount. And I think, was he in the mount? Hold on, I'm trying to remember exactly. I think he ended up, Ribeiro ended up crawling up against the fence. And Sy took his back and just started pounding away up against the fence. And then there was a filthy elbow. Well, before that, before he was even there, he started landing some 12-6 elbows, was kind of postured up, landed some 12-6 elbows. Eventually got the back up against the fence, starts smashing him with ground and pound, throws some 12-6 elbows, put out Ribeiro, and the referee stopped and stared at him. He was out cold at the 28-second mark. He was out cold. I don't believe they stopped it till the 19-second mark. So Oumar Sy just continued to pound and pound and pound. Back shots dead. Repeatedly. And Ribeiro was out cold. He was still kind of shelling up a little bit because that's the position he got KO'd in. So he was just stuck in that position. But man, it was brutal to watch. And it should have been stopped much earlier. It should have been stopped 7 seconds prior. And that doesn't sound like a lot. But when you're over top somebody, raining down brutal ground and pound shots, probably should be stopped. I'm surprised there aren't some people screaming attempted murder. I'm surprised. So Oumar Sy gets it done. He needed a bounce back win after losing to Alonzo Menenfield. I had to think about that for a second. He needed a bounce back win. He got it done against Ribeiro. I don't know, what does this win really mean? I'm not sure, but Ribeiro's a decent, okay, dangerous fighter that doesn't have great grappling. But I saw this fight coming from a mile away. I picked Sy by, I believe, second round TKO. But yeah, he gets it done. Back shots dead, late first round TKO. Next fight on the card, opening up the main card, we have William Gomis versus Robert Ruchala. Gomis outclassed him. I mean, really. Ruchala tried to kind of stall a bit with some takedown attempts that he wasn't really getting. First round, Gomis was chopping at the legs, landing teeps, landing decent punches. There was a body lock takedown from Ruchala, but then Gomis was able to scramble up and started putting his fingers in his ass. If they weren't brown going in, they would have been brown coming out. I'll tell you that much. And he was for a long time, was pulling the Nora Sultan Ruzaboyev's coach technique for a little bit up against the fence. Got controlled a bit, and then Ruchala basically ended up disengaging, and Gomis was still winning on the feet, just using kicks, inside leg kicks. And I thought Gomis was clear 10-9. Second round, Gomis got taken down, but it was like a DDT almost. Gomis almost DDT'd Ruchala. Got a little bit controlled, but there was no real damage, and Gomis was winning before that. And then Gomis got up with a little bit of time left, 20, 30 seconds left, and was landing decent shots, decent kicks again. Did far more damage in the round. I had the second round for Gomis. I guess maybe some people might score it for Ruchala because he had some control time. And then the third round, Gomis was winning, but then there was an eye poke, and there was a break for a bit, but then he was back to winning again. Ruchala had a late head kick that the commentary team was like, oh my God, Gomis is hurt badly. I think it caught him a bit, but I don't think he was hurt badly at all. And then he starts landing the better shots right after that, and then he gets 2 takedowns. He gets a takedown. Ruchala works his way back to his feet, then gets another takedown, and I thought it sealed the third round for him. I had it 30-27 for Gomis. It was still a competitive fight, no doubt about it, but it was essentially Gomis just being more clean on the feet, more crisp on the feet, more technical on the feet, and Ruchala trying to go wild and crazy and land good shots, and then eventually trying to mix in the grappling. And there was one point in the second round after the DDT type takedown, I thought, oh, is Gomis going to gas out? Because the way Gomis was like dragging his back to the fence, he looked kind of tired. But when he was able to get up finally, he was able to get back off on the feet, and it didn't seem like he wasted a whole lot of energy. So he gets it done 30-27 over Robert Ruchala. I think one judge might have had 29-28, but either way, I scored all 3 rounds for William Gomis. Next fight on the card, we have Axel Sola versus Rhys McKee. Horrible stoppage. Horrible stoppage. Now I got to look who stopped this fight too. I don't know why I didn't have it. Yeah, it was Herb Dean again. Herb Dean's a bum, man. I hate Herb Dean. Fuck Herb Dean. Horrible referee. I just don't get it. I don't get why people act like Herb Dean's good when he's not good. Anyway, first round, Sola was landing good shots early. Landed a couple big shots early, kind of snapped McKee's head back, bloodied him up a little bit. Then McKee started throwing back, landed some decent shots. Then, I'm trying to remember here. I got a couple notes here. Yeah, and then McKee was able to, Sola was able to get McKee down, took his back for a little bit. McKee was throwing shots when Sola had his back up against the fence. He was like throwing little elbows and little punches, and Sola was doing absolutely nothing. So the first round, I scored it for McKee because I thought McKee did way more damage on the ground even while being controlled a bit. You know, it's not like he had the body lock. He kind of had his back for a little bit up against the fence. And then McKee was like facing the fence and Sola was on his back just standing with the body lock. And McKee was throwing nasty elbows. I mean, they weren't crazy damaging, but they were decent. And punches like behind him while Sola was just hanging on there, kind of stalling out position. So I gave McKee the first round, but it was close. Second round was really, really close. Sola was landing good big shots. Kind of started stalling with takedowns again, like wasn't able to get him and just kind of hanging out in those positions. But not a whole lot happened in the second round, so I gave it to Sola. I thought Sola with the big shots early in the striking exchanges, landing the better shots, had the second round. Then the third round, I thought Rhys McKee was winning, and he was pressuring him, and it looked like Sola was tired. And then eventually Sola decided, I guess, oh, I'm going to lose this round. I better start fighting back. And he starts just throwing big shots and ripping to the body. And he landed a couple good shots to the body. And he lands a nasty shot to the body that puts Rhys McKee down. Now, to Herb Dean's defense, okay, the counterpoint to Herb Dean's stoppage. The way Rhys McKee fell wasn't the best optics. But he falls to the ground. He immediately starts blocking. He immediately reaches with the other hand to start to fight out of position to break the grip of Sola. Sola starts throwing like 2 little baby shots that land on the arm of Rhys McKee, and Herb Dean jumps in and stops it. This dude's a bum, man. And the thing that pisses me off is there's no accountability. There's no accountability other than us fans being like, what the hell? What the hell, man? Herb Dean will go on some interview, you know, he'll interview with Helen Yee, he'll interview with whoever, and he'll be like, the referees know best, man. We know best. We do everything perfect. There's no accountability. These motherfuckers, every single one of these refs think they're infallible. They don't think they make mistakes at all, and they defend this shit. It was a horrible, atrocious stoppage of a great fight, and it robbed a really solid win from Sola because I think regardless, Sola would have won the third round. He would have won the fight because he would have took the second round, at least in my book. And in the first round, the judges might even give him anyway. So it just was really annoying how quickly he jumped in. Like he fell to the ground off one body shot and Herb's rushing in. Herb's rushing in off one damn body shot. I mean, go back and watch Chris Weidman versus Luke Rockhold. Look at Herb there. Or the countless other times Herb Dean has been late. I just don't get it, man. This dude's checked out. He's showing up for a paycheck. It was a horrible stoppage, and it ruined it. It was a good fight. Maybe Sola would have finished anyway. Maybe that's the case. I don't think in this particular instance, I don't think that's the case. If that was the case, I wouldn't feel as disgusted about it. I think Rhys McKee would have been able to scramble. Rhys McKee immediately started complaining, and I think he would have been able to scramble and been able to survive the position, especially since Sola was very, very tired. But either way, Sola gets a third round TKO to get it done over Rhys McKee. Next fight on the card, we have Bolaji Oki versus Mason Jones. Bolaji looked fast early, landing big shots, hurt Mason Jones, was chasing him down, dropped him, starts looking for the finish, landing big shots. Herb Dean would have stopped it 17 times over. Matter of fact, Herb Dean would have stopped it 65 times over. Bolaji Oki's just pounding away, and I'm watching on stream. I'm like, if Mason Jones can survive this flurry right now, he's going to win. He's going to win. He's going to win. I was dying. I was like, if he can survive, he survives it. He gets back up. Oki's like taking a breather, and he realizes, oh, shit. I just used all my energy. And I think after they get back up, he goes for another flurry because he realizes, I just used 90% of my cardio, And it was like, we're 1 minute into the fight. Like, I remember being like less than a minute and a half into the fight, and Bolaji Oki had used almost all his cardio up. It was insane. And then Mason Jones gets a takedown. Starts controlling him, starts beating him up a bit, starts looking for a Kimura, but isn't able to get it. Did some damage. I think he even got in the full mount for a little bit. But I still gave it to Oki. I didn't give him a 10-8, but I still gave it to Oki because the damage he did, as close as he got to finishing, you have to give it to Bolaji Oki there. First round was Bolaji Oki, but I knew it was over. I knew it was over. Second round, Oki comes out, gets taken down almost immediately. Full mount, ground and pound. Mason Jones gets it done. I mean, Oki had just used up all his energy. Ended up getting mount, getting nasty elbows, tried to roll to a hip, still getting smashed with elbows. And he just used up all his energy. It's a conscious decision, you know. Somebody said in chat, they were like, oh, how do you show up with 1 minute of cardio? And I kind of get that. I've said that before too. But in this case, Oki doesn't have the greatest cardio, and he made the decision to use it all because he thought he was going to get him out of there in the first round. He didn't think he was going to have to deal with it. He didn't think he was going to have to pay for it in the second and third round. And Mason Jones survived. He didn't have Herb Dean in there to stop the fight 75 times over. And Oki paid for it in the second round. Took a lot of damage too, but great fight, insane fight. I wonder if this, let me see if it has it on here. No, it doesn't even have it on here yet. I was wondering if it was going to be performance of the night from Mason Jones. I will say this. I think Mason Jones is going to get a bit overrated now because he's taking damage against the dead corpse of Jeremy Stevens. Damn near gets finished by Bolaji Oki, but pulls it out of his hat. I do think Mason Jones is a decent, well-rounded fighter, but I think after this performance, people are going to kind of hype him up a little bit more than they probably should be. But man, what a crazy performance. To survive that onslaught in the first round, come back and win in the second. Incredible performance. He gets it done over Bolaji Oki. Next fight on the card. Featured fight on the main card. Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. Damn. Damn. This was a brutal finish. A brutal finish. It was a filthy elbow. And then Mark Goddard tried to clip farm over top the dead corpse of Paul Craig. Bukauskas was landing on the feet. At one point clinched up with Paul Craig, and Paul Craig immediately starts wrapping up the arms, like looking like he's about to pull guard. Bukauskas eventually pushes away from him, starts landing more shots. Then Paul Craig clinches up with him, I guess looking for a takedown, trying to look for a takedown. He got close a couple times. Looking for trips, had the body lock, looking for trips, but isn't able to get it, and then eventually decides he's going to try to pull guard towards the end of the round, and Bukauskas starts wrecking him badly. And then right at the end of the round, brutal elbow. Paul Craig's body is lifeless, laying there on the canvas, bloodied up. The bell sounds right after the elbow lands. Bukauskas gets up. Mark Goddard's like, oh, this is my moment to be on camera, and stands there like, and then finally waves it off, even though he was clearly a dead body, but he wanted to be in that clip. He was hoping that clip went viral, and he wanted to be in that clip. Paul Craig retires afterwards. I mean, this was a long time coming, boys. How can you not be? I mean, Paul Craig's a dead corpse. I know he's got crazy wins on his resume. He's got a win over the current light heavyweight champion. Paul Craig, I mean, it's time. It's time. He doesn't have any striking. He pulls guard. He gets smashed on the ground. How bad is how shit is Bo Nickel? Bo Nickel went to a 29-28 decision win against Paul Craig. Bukauskas would smoke Bo. Okay, and I know that's middleweight, this is light heavyweight technically, but Bukauskas, I think, has fought at middleweight before. By the way, Bukauskas looked more ripped than ever. By the way, I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet. The Paris crowd, we'll talk about it more towards the end of the video. The Paris crowd is the best crowd in MMA. But yeah, Bukauskas brutalized Paul Craig. And it was sad in the post-fight interviews, like, the young eat the old and I'm old. That's the truth. I've been saying it for a long time. The young perpetually eat the old in the sport. It's not some crazy epiphany anybody needs to have, but man, Bukauskas really slaughtered him badly. And that's what happens when you pull guard. And if you can't get the sub, you're basically screwed off your back if you can't find a sub. And Bukauskas beat the dog shit out of him. I'm happy Paul Craig retired. He'll probably head over to BKFC now. If GFL was around, Paul Craig would head over to GFL. But yeah, Bukauskas gets it done. Brutal first round KO. Next fight on the card, we have Benoit Saint Denis versus Mauricio Ruffy. Ruffy got brutally fraud checked. Now, full disclosure, because sometimes I say these things and people are like, Joey, you picked against him. I did pick Ruffy, okay, or Ruffy. I picked Ruffy in this fight, okay? Let me put that out of the way, because there's going to be crybabies in the comments saying, Joey, why are you acting like this? I've been telling you guys forever, Ruffy was overrated. The Joe Rogan glaze. Oh, he reminds me of Conor McGregor in his prime. Well, he has Conor McGregor striking, but he also has Conor McGregor grappling as well. He got submitted via second round neck crank. Before he even tapped, the parallels to the Khabib-Conor finish were exact. I mean, Benoit Saint Denis had the choke latched up on the chin, borderline over the lips. Ruffy isn't even fighting it and has a hand out just on the mat waiting to tap and be saved. And that's eventually what happened. I mean, right off jump, first round, I realized what a critical mistake I made in picking Ruffy. Because first round, Benoit Saint Denis comes out, lands a nasty body kick, then basically gets a takedown immediately. Controls him, doesn't do a whole lot of damage. I think at one point got the mount. And then eventually Ruffy is able to scramble out and get top position. I think BSD was trying to take his back. Ruffy scrambled out, got in top position, then waved him up. And then guess what happened? Immediately BSD took him down again. And I'm looking, right, the camera angle we got after Benoit Saint Denis took him down is Ruffy's corner. They look bewildered. They looked like they have no idea what to fucking say or do. They look devastated. They know it's over. I could tell right then and there. Go back and watch my live stream. I could tell right then and there. Now, in the first round, Benoit Saint Denis didn't do like a crazy amount of damage, but he got off some damage, got off some decent damage. And I'm talking about on the ground. On the feet, he landed some good body kicks. Eventually, Ruffy got up against the fence. Then there was like some knees that maybe were close to the groin. They looked like they were groin shots. Ruffy's talking to Herb Dean. There's this weird exchange where Herb starts to interject and then doesn't interject and then starts to interject and is super indecisive like Herb Dean shit referee, like I've been telling you. But we're not going to go off on that. Eventually breaks him, and Ruffy still looks frozen on the feet. I'm like, oh, it's all over. This dude's a fraud. This dude got overhyped. Second round, I think he got taken down early, and then he was able to scramble out on top again. And then when he got back to his feet, it looked like he was a little bit more comfortable. He landed like I think it was like a stinging jab that kind of stung BSD, and nobody even talked about it. And then I think he threw a knee that came close to landing, but I'm not sure how clean it landed. And then Benoit Saint Denis took him down again, and it was basically a wrap at that point. It was basically a wrap. BSD got him down. I could just tell Ruffy was quitting. Got him in mount, ended up taking the back, ended up flattening him out, was beating him up a little bit, then says, okay, I'm going to go for the rear naked choke. It's not even under the chin. It's literally on the lips. And BSD just cranking down like, quit, bitch. Quit, you little bitch. And then finally, Mauricio Ruffy taps out. Dudes were hyping this dude up too much. And BSD fraud checked him. You know, a lot, as the people say nowadays, fraud check. I mean, Ruffy got exposed badly. The fighting turds got exposed badly tonight. Not really Caio Borralho, but we'll talk about that in a second. He had nothing. I mean, his grappling is dog shit. How's he going to do against any... I mean, imagine he's talking about fighting Islam. Imagine what Islam... Think about this. I know MMA math doesn't work. But think about what Moicano did to BSD. By the way, I still think BSD would beat Moicano in a rematch. He made bad decisions in that fight. But think about it. Even so, Moicano out-grappled BSD. Okay, BSD out-grappled Ruffy like it was easy. I mean... Threw him down with ease. By the way, I just remembered when Mason Jones got the last takedown before the finish, man, he threw Bolaji Oki. It was effeminate Cookie vibes. But think about that. Moicano out-grappled BSD. BSD brutally out-grappled Ruffy. Islam out-grappled Renato Moicano. And I know MMA math doesn't always work, but imagine what Islam would have done to Ruffy. Ruffy has no grappling. This dude got exposed badly. I don't know. Is he ranked currently? I need to start pulling up all these pages. I need to look up the UFC rankings. Is he ranked currently in the lightweight division? This dude's talking about, I'm the dude to beat Ilya. Yeah, he's number 15. Imagine what Grant Dawson does to Ruffy. I still would have loved to seen Chandler versus Ruffy. I think that's the fight to make next, to be quite honest. But yeah, Benoit Saint Denis goes out there and gets back a win. Now, I was saying for a while now, I think people overrated BST. That includes me. And then I think because he lost, they started to underrate him a bit. I really do think BSD is a legit top 15 guy. I don't think he's ever going to be champion. But man, he is a savage and the crowd's going fucking insane. He's walking down Ruffy, slamming body kicks. And Ruffy even it's not like he just got mauled. I mean, he did get mauled, but it's not like he had no opportunities on the feet. He had opportunities on the feet. And he just was able to offer nothing because he was frozen in fear because of the grappling. And he was also worried about getting a body kick slammed into his midsection. So Benoit Saint Denis gets a win here against Ruffy. A dominant win. I don't know how Ruffy ever recovers from this. I don't know how the fighting turds ever recover from this. This was a bad beating. An easy win for BSD. And people were counting out Benoit Saint Denis so badly in this fight. And it's crazy. Ruffy just can't. Imagine, how does he not have any takedown defense? Nothing. It's not like BSD's takedowns are unbelievable. He just out-muscled him. It was sheer strength. Obviously, it was technique too, but it was sheer strength. And on the feet, Ruffy was frozen in fear. He was frozen in fear. So he has a lot to work on. He's still pretty young. He's only 29 years old, so he's still pretty young. He can come back, but it was all that Conor McGregor striking, glazing from Joe Rogan had people believing this dude was the Brazilian Conor McGregor. He has the grappling. He got the Conor McGregor grappling package too, okay? Let's hope he doesn't have the graping up a storm attribute as well, okay? So, Benoit Saint Denis gets it done. I'm happy to see him get back on the winning track in his hometown. Incredible performance. The crowd's going insane. Paris crowd is unbelievable. Benoit Saint Denis gets it done via second round neck crank over Mauricio Ruffy. Next fight on the card, we have the main event. Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho. I think one judge had it 50-45. Two judges had it 49-46. I had it 49-46, but it could have been 50-45. Basically, the only round that's up for debate is round 3. And you would have to go back. I would have to go back and rewatch that round because there was multiple breaks. Because Imavov stung him early. And then there was a groin shot from Borralho. And then when they came back, there was an eye poke from Imavov. So there was like multiple breaks. And then Caio started to turn the tide a little bit towards the end of the third round. So it's like I leaned Borralho when I'm watching live. But I was like, could have went either way. But I leaned Borralho. I scored it 49-46 live. But there were so many breaks in the action, it was hard to really see. But first, second, fourth, and fifth round was essentially Imavov styling on him and Caio Borralho just throwing like a head kick that wasn't landing the entire time. First two rounds, it wasn't like crazy exciting, but it was essentially Imavov landing leg kicks, landing teep kicks, and Caio just throwing a head kick the entire time. He landed like one or two body kicks that did well for Caio. And then the shots that came from Caio throughout the fight, he shot a couple times in different rounds. They were stuffed with ease. There was one time, I think it was on the fourth round, where he shot a takedown. He was in deep, and somehow Imavov just stuffed him and stayed on his feet and was kind of off balance a bit. But Imavov was just a better striker, was tagging him well. Round 5, Imavov really started to light him up. There was another eye poke in round 5, and people were kind of mad about that and saying, oh, second eye poke, point deduction. It's like, they weren't the most egregious. I kind of understand it to a certain extent, but it's like they never do this, okay? Unless we pass a rule change where like we're going to penalize eye pokes. At this point, you might as well. Everyone might as well eye poke. And Caio Borralho, by the way, round 3, I think it was round 3. Yeah, it was round 3. He landed 2 groin shots. He hit the cup twice. And the first time I'm actually suspicious about. Because the first time was right after he got rocked. And it seemed like it was just far too suspicious. They kind of clinched up a little bit. And he landed a knee to the groin. Imavov was kind of looking at the ref. I think it was Marc Goddard. And Marc Goddard wasn't ready to stop it. But Borralho knew he hit him. What was suspicious about it? Let me break this down before someone doesn't understand. Borralho hit the groin. Imavov kind of reacted a little bit to it, but Marc Goddard wasn't in position to really see it. Borralho seemed to entice the stoppage from Marc Goddard more than Imavov did. Because Borralho was like throwing his hands up like he was the one fouled. So it really was weird. It was kind of reminding me of Corey Anderson. What is his name? I can't remember his name. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Corey Anderson. How can I not remember his name right now? It was on the tip of my tongue. Where he headbutted him. He was winning. He headbutted him. And then he started looking at the ref and doing this, which cost him a win. And I don't know why I can't think of his name. Bellator. I know someone's screaming it right now. Light heavyweight champion. Vadim Nemkov. I had that on the tip of my tongue and I couldn't think of it. So it was weird. It was a little bit suspicious. Imavov does need to keep his fingers down a little bit more. Because what he would do is he would throw a combination and then kind of keep the range by pushing and would kind of mush the face of Caio Borralho. But in this fight, Imavov was clearly the better fighter. It was still a competitive fight. One thing I think Borralho and his coaches really messed up, the lead leg was wide open to be chopped, and Borralho threw only like 4 leg kicks the entire fight, and he landed hard on the calf. I think it could have been much more impactful. And what's crazy is, after the 3rd round, I think it was, Imavov looked tired on the stool, and Caio didn't. But then when he came out to fight, he didn't look tired. So I think the body language was throwing us off a bit, because I'm like, oh, wait a second. Is Imavov going to get tired here? And maybe you lose? But this was a clear win from Nassourdine Imavov. I think this stakes him as the #1 contender. I think he was borderline the #1 contender before this. How can you deny his streak? I really don't know how you can say, oh, no, RDR deserves it instead. Look at this streak. Roman Delija, Jared Cannonier, Brendan Allen, Israel Adesanya, Caio Borralho, all top 10 guys. I believe at the time he beat him. Maybe not Delija. His last loss is when he took on Sean Strickland at 205. I think he beat Sean Strickland with ease. He has a full camp for Sean Strickland at 185. So I don't see how you could deny Nassourdine Imavov in this fight or for a title shot. But I'm going to be real honest. And you guys know, Joey's a Khamzat fanboy. I think Khamzat mauls both these dudes. I think Imavov has the best chance. I think he'll do better than DDP. I think Imavov smokes DDP, by the way. I think Borralho actually smokes DDP as well. So I think DDP is going to have a horrendous downfall depending on matchmaking, and Dana White in the UFC doesn't necessarily like DDP. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. But I think, I know you have RDR Fluffy. I think it should be Imavov next. I just don't see how you can say wins over Bo Nickel and Robert Whittaker are more notable than Jared Cannonier, Brendan Allen, Adesanya, Borralho, and taking fights when he doesn't necessarily need to headline UFC Paris when he already should have been #1 contender. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. I favor Khamzat heavily in that matchup. But if Imavov can keep it standing, I mean, his striking looked crisp in this fight. He was throwing good combinations. Both guys look super durable. I mean, both guys ate some big shots. Caio not landing a whole lot, but there was moments where he would tag Imavov when Imavov would open up a bit and get a little bit more aggressive. Early, Borralho wasn't really opening up a lot himself and was kind of shelling up and almost pulling like the Sean Strickland defense where he wasn't fighting a lot, but he was really shelling up and doing well, or just doing well at not taking damage, not necessarily doing well. I think he's going to kick himself when he watches back this performance. He basically gave away the first 2 rounds. Basically gave it away, didn't really try to fight, was spamming. There's a fight that this reminds me of, not necessarily the fight in its entirety, but really Caio Borralho's performance. There was a fight, I don't know if anyone can remember, where someone just kept spamming the same combination. It wasn't really effective. I feel like it was a main event of a fight night card. Maybe it wasn't. And that's kind of what Borralho did. I mean, he started to open up a little bit more after the 3rd round. 5th round, they got pretty crazy, exchanging. Imavov even got a little bit crazy. But Imavov, the much cleaner striker, Imavov able to easily stuff all the takedowns, and he wins a 49-46 decision win over Caio Borralho to stake his claim to fighting Khamzat Chimaev. And I'll tell you this right now, even though I don't favor Imavov, I favor Khamzat heavily to beat Imavov. I don't think Imavov will curl into doggy style on the ground and just allow himself to take back shots the entire fight. I think he'll take chances, and if he can stuff the takedowns on the feet, Imavov is a slick striker. The last thing I want to talk about as well, the crowd was crazy, the crowd of this card. I love the Paris crowd. Love the Paris crowd, insanely loud, makes the events more exciting, and they got a card that delivered. A lot of great fights, a lot of fun fights, a lot of highly skilled fights. Like this main event, I know people are probably going to shit on it. Boring. This was a highly technical fight. Again, it wasn't a Yuri Prohaska performance, but it was a highly technical fight, and I'm hyped also. I could have had a sweep if I would have done a little bit better. I only got 3 fights wrong on this card. I got Ruffy wrong. What else did I get wrong? I got Rhys McKee wrong, and I got Brad Tavares wrong. And I was very close to picking Bryczek, but I didn't. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for your support. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.